Okay, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us for this important panel on the topic of the future of longer and healthier life. I'm Arthur, today's moderator. We are hospital-supported venture capital funds backed by two of Taiwan's leading hospital systems. One is Taipei Medical University, the other one is Shouchuan Health Groups. With that, we have incubated over 150 startups and invested in more than 30. So continue to support the global startups expanding to Asia and partner with our hospitals. So today is my honor to moderate this panel alongside with four visionary leaders shaping the future of aging-related innovation. So I would like to have everyone to introduce yourselves and starting from the Lydia, the Global Executive of Hologic.
Thanks, Arthur. I'm VP of Asia for Hologic. Hologic is a medtech company based in the US, 40 years old. We are present everywhere globally and very much focused on women's preventive health. And we are specialized particularly in detection and prevention.
Soyoung, please.
Thank you for having me. My name is Soyoung Park. I'm a general partner of 1004 Venture Partners located in San Francisco Bay Area and San Diego. We are investors to investing in transformative technologies to support healthy aging. I'm looking forward to today's discussion, and I want to meet all of you here. Thank you.
Okay. The next, Ruben.
Thank you for having me, Arthur. I'm Ruben De Francisco. I'm CEO of Onera Health. We are a sleep diagnostic and monitoring company. We bring for the first time the gold standard sleep test that we call polysomnography from the sleep lab into patients' home. We're a commercial stage company and very much interested in the topic of the panel today.
Okay, thanks for having you. Seemant.
Thanks, Arthur. Pleasure to be here. I'm Seemant Jauhari. I'm a partner at Jungle Ventures, leading healthcare investments. We are one of the largest VC funds in the region. We invest in India and Southeast Asia. Formerly a CEO at Apollo Hospitals, and I'm very happy to be here for this panel. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's begin with our topic, the future of longer and healthier life. So we often hear that people are living longer, but not necessarily healthier. So I serve as a visiting professor at Tohoku University, which gives me a first-hand insight into how Japan is addressing their aging-related, challenges. So most countries in Asia, just like Japan, like Taiwan, we are navigating the complex reality of the rapidly aging populations. So my question to all the panelists, from your perspective, what is the most important issue we must address in order not just to extend the lifespan, but also, most importantly, the healthy span in aging society in Asia? Probably from Lydia.
Yeah, maybe I can start off. And thanks, Arthur, for inviting me. Because of Hologic's interest in women's health, not only are we focused on technology and innovation, we decided 4 years ago to create and develop insights across many countries, 140 over countries, across 140,000 over patients, women, and to really create this standardized index across the world on how women are faring in their health and wellness. And we actually measure 5 parameters, which would then allow us to create a standardized index. And we measure that over time. One of the biggest gap that we saw, and we are in the 4th year of the data, was that there's a huge prevention gap. Today, unfortunately, only 10% of women are being screened. And unfortunately, in this 4th year data, it's also showing that that screening rate is declining. So there's a huge prevention gap that needs to be addressed. And I think there's a lot that we can do together, as all being part of the whole ecosystem.
Okay.
Yeah, so I want to kind of bring some attention our lifespan. So please think about when your grandparents' days, what was the lifespan expectancy? I think it was about 50 to 60. And now you can see your parents maybe have a life of 70 to 80 or maybe 90. So what I meant is we actually extended our lifespan 20 to 30 years. But if you think about our health span, it's still remaining low. So when you draw a bell curve, let's say this is aging. When you're born, you grow and then you got down. This whole aging process, now we actually extend our lifespan, but our health span actually not improved. So my goal is to reduce this gap between health span and lifespan. How can we reduce this one? I actually see a lot of ways. We talk about diet, we talk about exercise, we talk about control our mental health. But also there's a lot of technologies out there we're going to discuss today. With that kind of technology, I think we can reduce the gap between health span and lifespan. That's
Thank
what I
you.
want to bring.
Ruben, what's your feedback?
Yep, very much in agreement, I think, with my colleagues here, my co-panelists. Yeah, I think aging population, one of the effects that it has is that we don't have enough people to take care of us. And sometimes it comes at the prevention stages, right? But I think it affects the entire care continuum from prevention to cure, chronic disease management, and so on. So with aging population, it's just not sustainable. And we need more tools to be able to take care of ourselves, maybe to bridge that gap, right, between lifespan and health span. We need good tools, and we are a medtech company, so we believe technology is really going to help us bridge that gap, and technologies that need to be very scalable economically, right? They need to become cheaper in volume so that all of us can make use of these tools at home. That's
It's
the
most
direction in which.
cost-effective way. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Seemant, anything to add?
Yeah, I think it's a huge challenge that is going to hit us really hard, and we are underprepared. So let me come from the other angle, just in terms of the extent that we are trying to see as an impact. We take Asia itself, we have roughly 60% of the world's population out here. And roughly one fourth of this 60% of the world's population is going to be greater than 60 years old, right? So that roughly gives you a figure of about 600 million people who are going to be 60, 65 and above, right? 300 million in China, 50 million somewhere Southeast Asia, then the rest India, and so on and so forth. And this is a huge issue because of what Linda and Soyoung mentioned. You're living longer, and you're older, you're getting older, and associated issues start coming. Can you live healthily? So, first of all, there is a lot of people to take care of. And unfortunately, in today's generation, we are almost like a sandwich generation where we have patchwork care, as I like to call it loosely, right? We have patchwork care, it's incremental care, it's reactive care, but we need organized elderly care for good health span with great lifespan. And that's two or three things I'll touch upon and hand it back over to you, Arthur. One is clearly the preventive piece, which Linda talked about. You need to be even more cautious in preventively checking your health every single year for a certain set of parameters. Now, the second piece is the personalization preventive health checks. So it's not just going through a laundry list of tests, but it's actually for every individual. The kind of tests that you need to do to more extent needs to be customized and personalized to that person. Third is your paying capability. So insurance has to play a role here, because if I can pay, then I will take that preventive test done. And fourth is can you continuously, is there an organized platform on which these elderly can land and they can be taken care in a more professional manner?
Okay.
So I think all these are big issues to be solved to take care of that huge problem that's waiting to hit us. And we are underprepared.
Thank you for all the thoughtful perspectives. So it's clear that the aging population are not demographic issues, but they are a catalyst, right, for system-wide transformation in how we approach healthcare. So let's take a close look into how innovation and even investment are responding to these urgent unmet needs. So at B Health, we launched our aging-related accelerators, and over time we have observed the investors has consistent interest in or focus on several important vehicles like preventive medicines, the AI diagnosis, the elderly, modeling models. So my question to Soyoung and Seemant from investor perspectives, what areas that you think is still remain underexploited, underfunded, or any vehicles that you see promising but not yet receive enough investors' attention? So probably from Soyoung.
Yeah, so health span is actually not just something you can actually target. It's not pinpoint solution. It is definitely throughout your life. It's a quality of life and your life journey. So I, as an investor, I also very interested in a lot of technologies like stem cell, the epigenetic reprogramming, senescent cell elimination, TPE, mitochondrial transfusion. Those kind of things are actually I pay attention to. But those are biotech, and also it takes quite a lot of time to be in the health system. I see a lot of things actually go to direct to consumer market, but at the same time, we see that a lot of a rise of digital health. So, for example, there's a digital clinic on your palm. A lot of the prognostics measure your brain age, measure your metabolic age, and then you put it everything in the digital clinic, and then you basically maintain your health. Now, I see a lot of consumers are very aware of their value of their health data. Those data will accumulate at some point, as Seemant said, personalized and more customized medicine and treatment and supplement solution will be available. For those we are actually, I think we are still on the way to collect all the data, especially our data is not sufficient to train AI technology. But in healthcare, I see a lot of opportunity. We can accumulate more valuable data, and once we can have enough sufficient and accurate data, we can bring more value in the future. This is not definitely ignored anything. We are very aware of it, and I'm actually looking for who actually owns the data set and bring us to the next level.
Okay, thank you. Totally, the innovation isn't always where the capital is flowing or is going. So, Seemant, want to get your insights.
Yep. So I think I'll go to the part where what is underfunded and what's really needed. And I'll narrow down on Asia again. Um, I feel that there are a lot of basic sort of layer which we need to address is creating enough organized infrastructure and services around to take care of the elderly. So the first thing is around if you have the thinnest level of service, you have assisted daily living centers which are there. Second, as you grow older and you have chronic diseases or you have spinal issues or you have neuro issues and you need transition care facilities and rehabs and all of those to be there. Now it was always very a mom and pop centers, unorganized markets. Now they are slowly starting to consolidate a little bit. Then when you have these centers, then how can you engage? As one of you said, we need constant engagement for these people. So there has to be some digital interface which constantly engages this. And it all starts with actually doing the preventive health check and finding out where you are and how you need to be. And how you need to be, this journey is probably where the interventions come, and they could be digital. There is variables to continuously keep getting that data. And as Soyoung said, make sure you are able to process that data. And then be, are there interventions like a drug intervention, or is there genetic sort of identification of what are your predispositions? Like we came across the BRCA tests and the predispositions initially with the Jiva studies. And now, it should become more mainstream for your preventive and personalized check to actually programmatically make your roadmap for this particular person and for each one of those, so that you can stick with that program and then you can stay on the platform, so that you can actually, and this part is underfunded, both in terms of facilities, infrastructure, resources, and the innovation pieces. So silver economy, as a lot of people call it, is here to stay, and it's more complicated because as you grow older, mental health also starts coming in. So you have mild cognitive impairment and brain health, which also starts coming in. And there's a lot of innovation going on in that, but there's not too much funding. That's underfunded. So if you see home care, or it is, let's say, transition care, it is assisted living, it is innovations, variables, uh, CRISPR and genetic related things. All of these are, I think, from that standpoint, we could use with more funding and more innovation and packaging around this as a wholesome service.
Okay, that's incredibly illuminating, especially the way how you frame both the obvious and overlooked opportunities in aging-related innovation. So let's shift gears towards one of the toughest parts of scaling the innovation, which is addressing the real-world validations. So in my career as an investor, I've learned that it's super crucial for the medtech startup to partner with the hospitals to validate their ideas with physicians. So that's why we work with two of Taiwan's leading hospital systems, with Taipei Medical University. We support the startups to leverage Taiwan's single-payer, well-structured data to pioneer in the medical AI. And with Shouchuan, which owns the largest training center for surgical innovation. So we connect the startup with the physician. So Ruben, my question is to you. You have that Onera Health expanded across different regions. So how did you choose your first entry point in Asia, right? And how did you build your partnerships with different hospitals, different physicians, especially to succeed in this Asia's very fragmented regulatory landscapes?
Yep. So indeed, to be successful with home care solutions, they need to be very much vertically integrated. And typically that means you're going to have to rely on partners. Like the example that Seemant was just talking about, right? This digital part, wearables, all sort of assisted living services. You're gonna need different companies because it's different core competencies. We are not yet in Asia, so we are exploring Asia, right? And some of these decisions about how to pick the different countries and what partners we are going through right now. But I can share a little bit how it was for us also in Europe and in the US. Europe is also very fragmented, right? Although there's one regulatory approval, the CE mark, it is very fragmented for everything else, right? Different reimbursement, payer systems, it's all very fragmented. So what we did is we started in Europe, and then in the Netherlands, we expanded to a few European countries. We expanded to the US. Most important thing is to make sure that, of course, you tick all the boxes, right? Regulatory check, is the reimbursement, right? In this geography, there's no reimbursement. If there's no reimbursement available, you might need to come up with reimbursement. Perhaps you need a project to get to it. And the other aspect, of course, market size, what you are going to require in terms of clinical adoption, so that gets adopted and so on. In those countries, we decided to go direct, actually. So we are selling direct to hospitals, to clinics. Those are our customers. But in Asia, we are looking at it a little bit different because we realize that each of the geographies have very strong particularities sometimes. So we will rely on some partners, we expect some strategic partnerships to be able to come to those geographies. So we are assessing right now Japan, some contacts in China as well. Hear good things about Singapore for sure. We are here right now. Hong Kong, Taiwan, etc., etc. So now to be able to be successful, one of the approaches that we used before that we for sure are going to use this time is to start small, working very closely with the clinical institutions. So pilot your product before you run too far, right? Make sure that it fits. Likely will not fit. There's some kind of workflows, clinical workflows, and different things. And you need to adapt your business model. You might need to adapt your service. And that's a recipe that worked very well for us in the US, for instance, and that we will apply for sure here. So that's a key part of the equation still today. What are the geographies where we can have strong clinical partners that will help us roll this out?
Okay. Thank you, Ruben. Your experience really highlights the underground partnership is as strategic as technology itself. So in addition to validation and the clinical collaboration, another hurdle for startup is to develop the sustainable business model, especially in markets with evolving reimbursement system in Asia. So one example from our portfolio is How to Think. That company now is the largest Asia's diabetes digital platform with over 1.5 million users. A big breakthrough they came through is they partner with big pharma, Sanofi. They have together come out a health economy study for reimbursement and unlock long-term value. So my question is to Linda, from Hologic's point of view, how do you, collaborate with the startups to co-develop the business models, and what makes this, partnership succeed, not just in technology alignment, but in strategy and outcomes from your perspective?
Sure, I think there's been a lot of successful partnership and collaboration. It starts with recognizing that, startups has got a, the strength really is in innovation and in being nimble. Strategics, has got experience in market access, clinical trial, regulatory pathways. So I think if both strategics and startup could see how complementary it can be, I think it's a very good start to recognizing both, strengths from both parties. Just thinking about reimbursement systems, I think great tech is not viable when no one pays for it. So I think that, it's very important to have a shared vision, shared outcomes to understand what that health outcomes would be, assuming that there's a shared vision on what is the problem that we're going to solve. Then really there needs to be an alignment and understanding of what are the healthcare policies, what are the reimbursement systems, both nationally, regionally, and even down to the accounts level. So market access is a very big word. It can be very high level, but really it go deep down, even down to the hospital level. So I think having a shared vision for the economics of health outcomes, is very crucial, and that has to be very, very early alignment right from the start. That both parties come together, align early, and really state, what that economics is going to be to be able to really get the payer and the funding that will recognize the value of the innovation. I think the second aspect is really leveraging and co-working, co-creating together, the clinical data, the regulatory pathways, and leveraging some of the data that really exists in strategics, medtech companies like Hologic, create and do a lot of work in gathering data, like I mentioned earlier on, right? Multi-year commitment, 140 over countries, 140 over 1,000 women to really try and understand the state of healthcare. So I think, all those are really shared, strength, that can be leveraged. I think at the end of the day, the shared risk and reward together, the partnership can be very strong, and it definitely, would elevate the startup from being pilot to bring it together to the population. So, it's really that shared KPI, shared risk and reward, and shared vision. And I think underpinning that is really the trust, the trust and the transparency. Sometimes the cultures are so different that we don't understand each other. But I think, just having that trust, underpinning that relationship would definitely be key to success.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. So definitely is a powerful reminder how big corporates can not just be acquired, but strategic partners.
Yes.
Yeah, to co-develop the values with startups. So due to the constraint of time, I would like to close by having each of you to share probably 1 or 2 sentences in terms of how can we co-create the future of the longer, healthier life. Probably from Seemant.
Yep. Go for your preventive health checks and make sure you stay on a roadmap to keep yourself healthy as long as you live.
I would say empower people by bringing care to their homes in a way that's very scalable and cost efficient.
Okay.
I like to ask everybody to pay attention to where we are, and if we can nurture the future technology and help the elders and also bring the healthy baby to the society, I think that's probably what we can contribute the most. I like you to involve in and cultivate this technology to bring to the society.
And I think for me, I just want to add on that the cross-sector collaboration, really needs, attention. I think Singapore is an example of a huge, great ecosystem with government support, with the private sector, with the government sector, with startups, with, medtech companies coming all together. And I think with a shared objective of what is it in healthcare that we want to elevate, it will definitely be, a great future for healthcare.
Okay. Thanks for all of the panelists, your inspirational and forward-looking discussions and perspectives. So it's very clear that the agents that our society is not just a growth market, but it has become an engine for global innovation.